belly shot 1 on the side, belly shot 2. Okay, guys, happy Sunday. Okay, my little friend is here, and it's so funny because I'll tell y'all that in a second. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Homemaking with Katrina. Happy Sunday. We actually, sorry, we're looking kind of rough. Well, I'm looking kind of rough right now. We just got back home from church and we grabbed some lunch, and so this little guy's eating chicken nuggets. He was requesting, kept whispering in my ear in service, I want chicken nuggets and fries. I want McDonald's. Anyway, he's so sweet. Okay, so you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, welcome. Thank you guys so much for either subscribing or just watching this video. And if you have not subscribed, I hope that you consider subscribing. Yes, because on my channel, of course, it's a homemaking channel. I am a stay-at-home mom of 8, soon to be 9. Me and my husband have been married for 14 years. He is the primary provider for right now. I am trying to build up to where we work together as a couple, and we have a large family. We love it. We're thankful for our family, and we're just living life. I do grocery hauls on here. I do cook with me's. I do clean with me's. I do day in the lives, homeschooling, just you name it, as far as just being a busy mom life. If I had 20 kids or if I had 2, it's still a full-time job. So yes, so today is a different video. I have been meaning to put this video out, especially before I end up and have this baby, which I have 9 weeks left. Yay! I hear the applause, I do. Yes. 9 weeks left before we meet our sweet little baby girl. Yes, so no cooking, no cleaning, no day in the life, no grocery hauls. This is just a birth story video. How I went from PCOS to 9 children. Yeah, so it is a blessing. It is definitely a miracle. You'll probably see or hear my kids in the back. This is not typically a quiet household. I tried to do this video when everybody was just in their own little spaces playing and doing things, but it just doesn't always work out that way. So I needed to put this video out here because I've been meaning to do it for months, not just out of the blue. So just to recap on from 2007, me and my husband got married in 2007, August. And we did not start like physically trying for a child until April of 2008. Well, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. It was like January, February of 2008. And so at a very early age, I was diagnosed with PCOS. I started, my very first cycle was 9 years old. It really was not like a full-fledged cycle. It was just like pretty much kind of like some spotting. Just, I really didn't understand what it was. To me, in my mind, being a 9-year-old, it kind of looked like poop. But I knew that poop didn't come out the front. So I immediately told my mom, and she just, of course, went in there and explained to me what was going on, and we went from there. So I had my first one at 9, and I didn't see another one until I was 11. And so that's when it became like alarming. I had friends that I grew up with that they had not started. So when I had told them, oh, I started at 9, they were just like, there's no way. But they didn't start until they were 12, 13 years old. And so I didn't think anything of it because I'm just like, well, no, well, anyway. So my cycles were never consistent. And for ones that don't know what PCOS is, it's ovarian syndrome, where polycystic ovarian syndrome, where you've got these little tiny cysts that just pretty much just covers your ovaries. So if you think of like a seashell when you go to the beach and you may find a seashell that has little tiny shells all over it. That's pretty much what your ovaries look like with PCOS. And what it does is it causes your body not to have a cycle. You produce more male hormones that stops that portion of the 28-day cycle. And so I didn't really know much about it. Thanks, babe. I didn't know really much about PCOS at all, but I got educated the older I got. So I started having issues where I was, it would come where I would have a real bad period out of the blue. It would just start and I would be real heavy bleeding, and then the next month, nothing. 6 months, nothing. A year later, I would have another one. And then it got to when I was about 14, 15, where I would be cramping, but nothing. And I would cramp for about 7 days when I would usually have a cycle, and nothing was coming out. Okay, eat your nuggets. And so that's when my mom was just like, well, she took me to the pediatrician. Pediatrician checked me out as what she could do, and she recommended that I go see a gynecologist, and I did. I actually went to see my mom's gynecologist. He was amazing. He's retired now, but he said that he kind of knew what was going on, but he wanted to be sure with an ultrasound and blood work and stuff. And so they done an ultrasound, and they did see that I had the cyst all over my ovaries. And so he just pretty much kind of explained to me, with PCOS, it is a very common thing in a lot of women. A lot of women don't even know it until they maybe start to try, or they may notice it later on in life when there's cycles, because some women can still have a cycle, and it may not be every 28 days, may not even be every 30, may not even be every 30 something days or whatever. It could be longer, but they would still have a cycle, and they would just think, with life going on, hey, what is a missed period? So that's when he explained to me, it's possible that I would not be able to have children. That was one of the risks, or it would be very, very hard for me to conceive. But he assured me, he said, when that time comes for us to cross that bridge, right now you don't need to worry about that. Because I was a teenager, he said, you need to just focus on school and enjoy life, and when it's time to cross that bridge, we will. And so, of course, that was about 15. I got married at 19, and that bridge had came to where it was time to cross. And so we had started trying. I had told my husband what I had going on. The doctor actually had put me on birth control to try to regulate because of all the pain. And then I was still having issues. And then he did like a laparoscopic little test just to make sure that I didn't have any fibroids or growths or mass or any or any or endometriosis. That's what he wanted to rule out as well, because he could only see that, of course, laparoscopically through a procedure. And so he done that procedure, and he said everything looked good. Blood work came out good. He just said, that's just the way it is. And so he told me all the different signs and symptoms that I would have with PCOS. I actually never experienced any of those signs or symptoms besides just the missing periods. I never had excessive weight gain. I never had acne. I never had facial hair growth. I never had a lot of other side effects. And I don't know, a lot about it. But I just never had any of those things to go on. Okay, so I had to stop for a second. So, we started trying around January after we had been married in August, and nothing. Then months went by, nothing. And so what I did was I contacted I had a general doctor here in North Carolina that I had started going to see, but I never discussed anything about fertility with them. But I did go back home and see that doctor because I felt comfortable with him, and I knew years before that he knew my situation, and he said that when we came to that point in my life where I wanted children, we can discuss some different options that I had. And so what he did was he checked me out and said that everything looked good. There was still, of course, those cysts were still on my ovaries. They had not dissolved or went away or anything like that. And he didn't start me on birth control or anything. He just said, because of course I was trying to get pregnant, so I didn't need to be on any birth control, which I've heard before that some doctors will recommend you to get on a birth control first to regulate your periods, and then they'll put you on like a fertility medication to try to see if that will jumpstart ovulation and possibly a baby. So, but which he did not do. He just put me on metformin. I took metformin for about a month or two and was having some severe side effects, so I just took it off myself. I took myself off of it. And then of course I wasn't getting pregnant, so I just felt like, this is actually hurting me more than it's helping me. So I just felt like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so long story short, I ended up in March of 2008, March of 2008, I had a tonsillectomy. And I remember the nurse that was looking at my chart right before I went back for surgery. And she asked me, she said, "You are so young. You're not a diabetic, are you?" And I said, "No, why?" And she said, "Because I seen that you listed a medication that you had previously taken, metformin." And I said, "Yeah, but I'm not taking that anymore. I actually was taking it for trying to get pregnant. That's what my doctor had recommended for me to do." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I have PCOS, I have not been able to get pregnant. It's possible that I won't be able to get pregnant." And so she said, "Well, look, I am a mom of," I think she said 4. And she said, "And I'm living proof because I have the same condition that you have children." And so I just took that to heart right before getting put under surgery, that the Lord had wanted me to hear that, because that really gave me hope when it seemed hopeless. Because in my mind, I just knew, I'm healthy, I'm young, but I didn't want to accept not being able to have kids. And so, and then knowing too, I don't know about other women, but I felt like because my husband had come from a large family, not that that mattered about him coming from a large family, even if it was just him and another sibling, I still wanted to be able to give my husband children. And so, and I knew that from a young age, I wanted to be a mother. So, didn't have a number in mind. I think it was like when I was younger, I said, "Oh, I want 3 boys." I don't know why I said that, but anyway. But so I ended up and once I got over the hump and recovery of having my tonsils removed, I started just being very, very doubtful and having such a bad attitude, because I felt like I'm never going to have children. And so what we did was we got a cat. And that was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just accept this for right now. I'll just have this cat, this pet, cat. It was a little bitty baby cat, a couple of weeks old, and it was so cute. We named her Jelly. And, I was still in the back of my mind, like, it still doesn't fill the void, but, it was so sweet. Went and bought all this different stuff for her, and just loving on her like she was a fur baby, but she wasn't a real human baby. But anyway, so I remember that I had was still recovering from the tonsillectomy, and my husband had went to church, and he came home, and I asked him, how was church? And he said, "Oh, it was good." And I said, "What did he preach about?" Sometimes when you just curious to know what was the service about. So he said he talked about Hannah, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And he said, "Maybe you should study and read about Hannah," And so I was just had like an attitude like, what is that supposed to mean? That's what I was thinking. But I did. I did read and study on Hannah, and at that point in my life, I said, well, you know what? Medication did not help me. My worrying isn't going to help me. So my attitude definitely is going to help me. So I need to fast. God, I'm fasting that you'll bless my wound, open it up, whatever it could be. You know what it is. I know I have a condition, but I'm not accepting it because I want to be a mother, no matter what a doctor has said. And so I did a week fast, and I remember coming off the fast, I was feeling so sick, like I was having just running to the bathroom, just bowel issues. I was dealing with nausea, dealing with headaches, dealing with dizziness. And I just thought, wow, I used to fast all the time. Every Tuesday was my fast day when I was, growing up. That was my fast day. As an older teenager, that was my fast time. So I was like, this is weird. And so I started having some back pain, severe back pain. And it was on the weekend. I called the doctor, and they said, well, we can't help you this late because, the office, of course, is not open on Fridays. That was just like a nurse that was there just doing paperwork and stuff. She said, but we recommend you to go to Women's Hospital just to see what's going on. They can do tests and they can see what's going on, because it sounds to me like, from what you're describing, it sounds like you could have a UTI or a kidney infection. So you need to get checked out as soon as possible. So we did. My husband took me when he got off work, and I remember them taking me back, and they said, ask you all the medical questions, fever, chills, not the kind of questions they ask you now as far as COVID stuff, but it was just like the symptoms related. And so she said, well, let me get a urine sample, and with that urine sample, we'll be able to see if you're pregnant and if you have a UTI or if there's blood in your urine, possibly for a kidney infection. And I'm like, okay, well, I know I'm not pregnant, so okay. And they're just like, well, it's just procedure we always do just to make sure, because we don't want to give you any medication that can cause some issues with a fetus if you are pregnant. And I'm like, okay. So I took the test. I was still waiting in the triage room before she even took me back. She comes in after 5 minutes and says, congratulations. And I'm like, congratulations for what? And she said, you're expecting. I'm like, really? No. And she said, you are. And I said, are you serious? And she said, you are. You're expecting. And just to go back, I had just recently done that week fast. Not to say that, oh, I got pregnant while I was doing the week fast. No, I'm not saying that, because that's not how it happened. So I ended up, and they said, well, we're going to get you in a room and we'll go and get your husband. Brought him in, and I told him, I said, you will not believe what they said. They said, I'm pregnant. He said, I told you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? Sit down somewhere. Like, this is a big moment, and you talking about you told me. So anyway, yes, he did. He kept saying, you're gonna get pregnant. It's gonna happen. Don't believe everything. It's gonna be fine. And so we left there just in so much joy, and I was still scared because I'm like, well, the doctor did tell me that possibly I couldn't get pregnant. It was just the devil just filling my head with all kinds of doubt and fears. But of course, 9 months later, we welcomed our first little baby girl. That's, of course, 13 years old now. She's healthy, beautiful. I did have to have an emergency C-section after being stripped, after water breaking, and no progression after 12 hours. I had to have an emergency C-section, and that was the start of new life and C-sections for me. Then we started trying again when she was about 13, 14 months old. We wanted her to have a sister because we wanted them to, kind of grow up kind of close together. And so, no baby. It seemed like it took forever to get pregnant. And I ended up, and I did a fast again. But once I did this fast, I had a dream. And in that dream, we were at a church function. I remember seeing everybody so happy and joyful. I remember my oldest Diamond being small, and she had this little cute little red dress on, and she was just so happy. But I was so sad. I was so sad, and I just felt like I don't really want to be here. I'm just sad. And so I remember gathering up my things, and I'm like, okay, I just want to leave. I just need to leave. And so I ended up, and as I was walking out, I heard someone say, "Mama, wait." I said, "Mama, wait." And so I turned around because I'm like, I know that Diamond's not talking, even though at this age, realistically, Diamond was talking. She was small, but she was talking. But she was like a smaller baby. And so I remember turning around, and I looked, and I said, "Who is your mama?" And she said, "You are my mama." And I said, "If I'm your mama?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, if I'm your mama, then what's your name?" And she said, "Michaela." And I said, "Michaela?" I'm sorry, y'all, I get so emotional because it's such a blessing. And I said, and I remember just falling and weeping and thanking God right there. And she was an older little girl, about 6 or 7, beautiful face, little ponytails, a beautiful little dress on. And I remember waking up, and I told my husband, I said, "I'm gonna have a little girl." And God already showed me how she's gonna look, and He already gave me her name and everything. Go, Daddy. Joshua. And so you are so far down the line. And so I remember just having that faith to know that whenever it happens, it's gonna happen. And months later, I ended up, and I was pregnant with Michaela. She was beautiful, healthy, full term, 6 pounds. Diamond was 6'2", 19 and a half inches long. Michaela was 6'11", 18 and a half inches long. And then I remember me saying, before Michaela was even 2, "I'm ready, I think I want to have another one." And I would like a little boy. And so you can just speaking things into existence. And I know for some people it'd be like, "Whoa, you already got 2. How could you just want?" But I was so overjoyed, and God had given me, when He blessed my womb, He not only blessed my womb, but He blessed me with the ability to take care of these kids, He gave me the strength and the wisdom to be able to do it, to where me having 8 children, I'm about to have 9, it is literally nothing at all. Of course, life gets overwhelming, but that's with anything. You can be overwhelmed with 1. You can be overwhelmed with 2. You can be overwhelmed with no kids and just responsibilities in this world and just overwhelmed. But that's what He gave me. And so I ended up and got pregnant with the twins. Got pregnant with the twins. And that was a rough pregnancy, y'all. Super miserable, but went all the way. I was not considered as high risk. The doctor's office that I went to at this time, the doctor's office that I go to now, they're still like, "We don't understand why they made you go this long." But it was just, and that's just how it was. I went 39 weeks. Both of the babies were full term. They both were 5'15". I can't remember the exact length of them. I would have to go back and look, but I remember Andrew, my husband said when they pulled Andrew out, because he was baby B, Aubrey was first, I was just overwhelmed with the crying and just so thankful. And when they pulled him out, I heard him cry out, but my husband said his cord was wrapped around his neck twice. He was not blue. He was not breathing. He was breathing. He came out lively and crying and already copying Aubrey. And he still does that now, even though that twins. But anyway, they didn't have to go in the NICU. They didn't have any breathing issues. They didn't have any issues. They were just healthy and strong, and we took them home in 3 days. Now, of course, now that he's older, he was diagnosed with almost 2 years ago, and it's been almost 2 years seizure-free. And we thank God for that, and we believe that God has healed him, and that's what we're going to continue to believe, and it's not going to stop him from doing anything in life. But that was 3 and 4, and then I had said, I know in a couple of years I'm gonna want me to have a little boy, another boy, because he's gonna need somebody. And my husband's like, I agree, he's gonna need somebody, because he's got all these girls, 3 girls, he's gonna need him a little brother to play with. And so I got pregnant with Wade, which is number 5. Wade was healthy. He was 6'15". He was 18 and a half inches. He was pretty short, 18 and a half inches long, healthy, just beautiful. And then before he turned a year, I got pregnant with Cameron, and had Cameron. Cameron was baby number 6. I actually, in the midst of all of that, I had started a cleaning business to where I was trying to do that, homeschool the kids, and just run that and be pregnant. And had Cameron. He was healthy. He was my first 7-pound baby. He was 7'1", and he was 19 and a half inches long, healthy and strong. And then I got pregnant with little Joshua right there. Healthy, strong. He was 7'4". And then I got pregnant with little Cashy, and Cash was my biggest baby. It was my 8-pound, 8'1" to be exact. And whew, it just felt like that baby just about took me out. I was pregnant with him. He was so big. I just felt so heavy, and just, which I did eat a lot of ice cream. I ate a lot of ice cream and probably some other bad stuff, so that could be. But he is so sweet, and all of them are so sweet. And that is 1 through 8. And now, of course, I am pregnant with number 9. And everything is going good. I've had some bumps in the road, but that's how pregnancy is. I'm thankful that I am 30 weeks and 3 days. And we've got 9 more weeks before we meet our little girl. And you'll have to wait to see what her name will be. And then, of course, wait to hear her birth story. But that is my birth story. So going from not being able to conceive to having 9 miracles. And that is why I'm going to save the name of what our baby is. So you can guess and put that in the comments if you think you know. Probably no, you probably don't, but you'll have to wait and see. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please give me a thumbs up. I hope it was very inspiring and helpful to any mothers or women that long to have children, but to know that just because someone has said that you're not going to be able to have children does not mean anything. God is a miracle worker. God created our bodies, and his word is true, and you can go back from page to page to page and read how he's made a way. He made a way in my life, and I know there's hundreds of thousands of women that have amazing testimonies that can give you hope. And still to this day, my doctor always say, I really think that you were misdiagnosed. And I'm like, I wasn't. I wasn't misdiagnosed at all. That was my miracle, to where I can stand here in 2022 and tell that I'm on my 9th baby from doctors saying that it may be hard, may not be able to have any. So for you women out here that's dealing with that, or if you don't have anything wrong and doctors just don't understand what's going on, just have faith and pray and fast and believe that your miracle is coming. And I'll see you guys next video. Bye.